Number 7, Joker has been adjourned to December 28th. Number 8, Peter Zakas, 56 Halsey Neck Lane. Construct 2.5-story single-family dwelling and detached garage.
Hi, I'm Lisa Zaloga, architect for Peter Zakas, 56 Halsey Neck Lane. Do you guys all have baby sets? You all have little sets?
So, do we have affidavits on this one?
You do. I dropped them off earlier. Do you have them?
Probably.
They're in the file. Thank you.
I have to ask every time.
Thank you, Jessica.
Hopefully you have them.
Always keeping the lecture on.
Keeps us honest. Tough with this crowd.
So this is, yeah.
Thank you, Peter.
So this is a small piece of property on Halsey Neck Lane. There's currently an existing single-story residence on the property, and we are proposing to demolish the existing residence and build a new house, pool and garage with a little tiny portion of it to be a pool house. We are currently in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals for some pyramid relief, and we've had a meeting and 2 work sessions. And at the last work session, they were rather happy with everything that we had done to appease them. So I wanted to make sure that we were working within your guidelines as well, so that as I go to their meeting on Thursday, that I don't have any revisions that I need to make in terms of that. The front yard, the front elevation, you can see here it's a 1.5-story house, front porch. The existing house sits 50 feet off of Halsey Neck Lane. We're proposing to push the house back to 65 feet off of Halsey Neck Lane. And create a 1.5-story house. Traditional siding, white trim, double hung windows, 6/6. I think it's they're looking for a traditional Southampton Village house. Peter's family has owned the house for 50 years, and it was left to him, and now he's looking for a house that his family can live in.
The house is shingled, roof and, oh, right.
It's red cedar. It's red cedar.
Has a front porch along the majority of the house. There's a 2-story or 1.5-story gable facing the street, and then the porch. I think that breaks the roof line, and then with a dormer on top. Trying not to overwhelm the property because it is a small property.
And
Very narrow lot.
It's a
Very narrow lot.
it's a very-
And we've pushed it, kind of as far over, because the lot next to it, to the south, is actually a 33-foot wide right-of-way. So there's no house that will ever be built, quite close to it, and the next house is 50 feet further away. So
So it's on the south side, the right-of-way?
the south side, the right-of-way, and then 50 feet over is the next house, which is an R120 zoning. That lot is 6 times the size of mine, and and a much bigger house. So we've kind of pushed it over that way as much as we can to create some space between us and the neighbor to the north.
Yeah, because the biggest concern I had, of course, that's my recurring theme, is the balcony, because it is such a narrow lot, but because of that right-of-way, I don't think it's an issue, so.
Right, and that's the way the ZBA is looking at it as well. They asked me to even push it over further.
am I right in thinking that practically all of the trim, the railing, the door trim is all AZAC?
Yes, painted white.
It's not a possibility to use a natural material rather than AZAC?
I suppose I could. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking that the earth shoe in me is coming out, and I'm really beginning to think that the use of plasticine materials are going to go the way of
Yeah?
substitute materials, most
Mhm.
substitute materials. And if you're doing something, I would hope that maybe wood might be a consideration. I don't know if anybody else has that problem.
I mean, it tends to go to maintenance and our salt air, that people tend to try to, use something that they don't necessarily have to sand and scrape and paint every couple of years.
But you're painting AZAC, and that'll hold.
Yeah, you actually, I mean, believe it or not, you actually don't have to paint AZAC, but I mean, I understand where you're coming from. My house, I
Yeah.
of course was bound and determined to put wood on it and paint it, and now I have to maintain it every year, and it doesn't tend to look as good. But
As long as it, doesn't have that.
oh, it's certainly not a plastic look. No, absolutely not.
The excuse that I've heard from some sources is that, oh, you paint it white and it doesn't, it looks like wood, but, if you're not painting it white, so then what does it look like?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have,
So there's the-
Unpainted, it's white.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just, I will say from a
Yeah.
maintenance standpoint.
I think,
It's a vast-
if I may say something, I think in this case, Sarah's concerns are well-founded, and I think it's something that should be taken up with the trustees. It's not, I don't believe, in our purview. We're, in this particular application, if the whole house was made of AZAC and it looks shiny or something like that, I think that might be an issue. But where it's trim, I think it's okay. And we don't have, I don't believe in this case, the ability to deny an application based on the use of AZAC trim.
okay.
But I think it's something to discuss at the village level. If we can be a community that is concerned about sustainability, I think that's important for all of us.
I mean, if we can ban plastic bags is the way I look at it, but.
But the
and
board
aluminum
has the
siding.
ability to review materials. The board has the ability to review materials.
Yes, right.
This is
And
a
what I'm
material.
saying in this case, in my opinion, the limited use of AZAC on trim, I have no objections to.
I mean, it's certainly not, our goal is not to have any kind of a plasticky look, I
I
mean,
understand.
yeah, no, without a doubt.
Especially on that street.
Not, yeah, no, definitely not. So, yeah, no, we definitely don't have any, again, the goal is to have a nice looking house that doesn't have to be maintained yearly in terms of scraping and painting and definitely,
Is that material typically painted after it's installed, or is it?
yes, yeah,
So the plan is to
you can
paint-
paint it or not paint it. I mean, honestly, either one you can do. Neither one of them has that shiny plastic look to it, though. It's definitely has a matte finish either way. But yes,
The
no,
plan
our
is to
goal is to
paint-
paint it. Our goal
Because
is
the
to
plan
paint it.
is to paint it in this case.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I actually find the painted AZAC easier to maintain.
Mold, Peter?
It's definitely, it resists mold, it resists mildew, it resists,
It's, yeah.
it's,
It lasts.
yeah, it lasts.
It'll be
It's-
longer than we're around.
It'll be the asbestos 20 years from
I hate
now.
to think it'll last longer than me, but.
Oh, but I can go, okay.
Okay.
Well, I mean, all the public is just really going to see the front elevation.
Yeah.
I find it a little bit cacophonous. The nesting gables, and then the shed. Seems like too much stuff, but I'm not, not violently opposed. Anyone else have a comment?
No, I'm fine with it as.
Yeah. My one, now understanding the right of way, my one concern was where you are with your pyramid relief, but now we know. And why. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, and we've worked that out with the ZBA. And the neighbor, by the way, the neighbor to the north has also written a letter of support.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this case, it makes sense.
Maybe the window over the front door, maybe if that were just a single like the, or maybe a double like next, I don't know. The triple thing there looks like one too many themes, one too many elements.
And actually, the placement of the piers on the porch with one window, it's window and then window blocked by
Oh,
column. I know that.
Well, that's when you fight with whether the column placement should be symmetrical or it should be symmetrical about windows, I guess. I think.
oh, within the space.
I think you
Okay.
see the spacing more than you see whether,
The windows way set back.
because otherwise you have to be standing directly in front of it.
Okay, fine.
But I think if that
Where you're counting
large
your rhythm.
window over the front door, if that were smaller, I think would actually improve it a lot.
You think that, really?
Yeah, because not a wall there.
A pair of windows like that under
I think
the
the single
shed.
one would look best, frankly, but just remove the side lights.
I think from where I looked, I'm wondering that's an issue more of just the way you're looking at it on the two-dimensional drawing here, because the roof is going to slope back, so those windows are going to be, in terms of perspective,
Set back.
No, this is
smaller than they
You're
appear
gonna
on
miss that.
this two-dimensional diagram, and I think
Read
it
that,
creates
Jeff.
actually some
I know how to do that.
balance with the gable itself. So I think when it's built in it, I think it's going to look fine. I think it looks nice.
You got a lot of house on a little lot, that's
That's
what I
for
think.
sure.
So pending ZBA approval, can we vote?
We need to adjourn until they get their variance relief.
Okay, so I move that we adjourn until the variance is in place.
Okay, and when are you meeting?
The 28th.
Okay.
Did you have zoning board before then?
My zoning board is Thursday.
Okay.
It's coming Thursday.
So you want to adjourn to that meeting date?
I guess that's, yes.
Okay.
Okay, so, and everybody's happy then? Okay. And that'll be after
Okay.
Christmas?
So do we vote?
Merry Christmas.
Looks good.
Adjourn. We have to adjourn.
Do we vote on,
The adjournment. Yes.
well, I move that we adjourn to this design until pending ZBA to the December.
Okay,
Second.
I
Aye.
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 Okay,
thank you very much. Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Oh, we're making progress.
129 Twelsom LLC,
Yep.
construct garage.
Yes.
Yep.
Affidavits?
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. I'm Peter Cardell, managing member of 129 Toilsome LLC. I'm also the owner of the property. The house was approved, which is under construction already. These were, James Merrill is the architect, and these were the rendering boards for the house. And we drew a simple garage to complement the house.
think it looks great.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
It's also, and it's also a flag lot. So,
Are
I
there,
think it's fine.
I move that
I think it's
we
fine.
accept the.
are there any
application.
comments?
Any other comments?
No objections.
Yep.
No objections, I
I
think it's
move we
fine.
approve.
thank you.
Good.
I-
Aye.
Did we set a record tonight?
I second,
Aye.
Aye,
motion.
aye, aye.
Aye. Thank
Aye.
you so much.
Thank you very much. Happy holidays, everybody.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Okay.
So, number 10,
This is
103
103 Elm.
103 Elm Street. Anne Marie and Blake Myers, construct second-story addition and rear porch. Just for clarity's sake, because this is pre-1902,
Have you submitted the mailing already?
Yes, we did.
Okay,
there
thank
has been thought that it should be, it's listed on the 2014 survey as a contributing building.
There you go.
And did you give your name?
Yeah, good evening. Sean Leonard. I'm the architect for the applicant. So what we're looking to do is add an addition to the back of the house. Currently on the rear of this house, there's already a covered porch back there. And what we're looking to do is keep the covered porch, but just make it a little bit deeper. So that we're adding another 6 more feet to that covered porch. And then above that porch, we'd be adding what would end up being a 14-foot second floor addition that would be going out to the rear. The trim on the house would be matching exactly what is to the house. The house currently has a brick foundation, so we're carrying the brick along as the foundation area. The shingles would be the red cedar shingles that are currently on the house. The windows would be the same size and proportions that are on the existing house as well, double hungs, 6/1s.
I think it looks great. Keeps the historic house intact. It's a
Yep.
discreet addition in the back. I think it's perfect.
John Gregory?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah,
Laura?
I think it's discreet and great.
We,
Yep, no objections.
Great.
I trespassed also. It's a beautiful design, and it does face the rear elevation as well.
Yes.
So, shall we
I
vote?
move we approve this application for 103 Elm.
A second?
Aye?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
For a nice design.
Thank you.
You could just call it cool. That would be it.
I love that, and
You know, there's bound to be a real technical term, but a kickle do it.
I'm just trying to play along the way.
Okay.
The next application
This
is
is
the...
Pool House this is the Pool House in
Is it
Seven
the
Arts
Hague
Colony, right?
Hague
Yes.
Family Trust A, 7 Artist Colony Lane, construct accessory pool house.
Good evening, Board.
Will you state for the record your name, please?
Raymond Renault, architect for the applicant. I have here my affidavit of mailing posting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good.
My client has a existing pool that they would like to have a space to get out of the sun. So what we're designing is essentially a roofed over structure with a wood-burning fireplace to help them get out of the sun and have a little bit of a destination
Well, that's not
for
an
nighttime.
Out of the...
Out of the sun and into the burning fire. We've designed it with white painted Tuscan columns that are square and a 5-piece painted cornice that would be traditional in nature, run around the perimeter of the building. It is designed with a hip roof and cedar shingles.
Does that replicate the roof line of the house?
Yes, red cedar.
No, I mean the roof line.
The roof line itself?
Just curious.
Yeah, actually, the roof line on the house is mixed, a series of hips and gables.
I drove up to it, but I never paid attention to the roof.
The house is very far at the end of a cul-de-sac, and this would work well for them.
Comments?
I think it's
I think
fine.
it's perfectly fine.
Yep,
Thank you.
Laura?
I think it's fine. I think it's actually,
Yeah,
cool. I think it's
looks
actually
good to
a
me.
cool pavilion.
So I move that we approve the accessory pool house as presented.
Thank you.
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Someone has some layman at the end of
Oh, yeah. The next one is 111 Elm Street, George Petty.
I
Construct,
think it's 117.
oh, sorry, 117 Elm Street,
Real.
construct second-story
Mailings
addition and
and
exterior
posting affidavit.
alterations.
I do have 2 other mailings that came in this afternoon that I have
I
photos of.
just need to see the affidavits.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Here's your posting affidavit.
Thank you. Did you already submit the mailing affidavit?
I did not, I have them here. Oh, the initial mailing affidavit, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
All
I
right,
just
cool.
didn't know if you needed the proofs,
No,
the slips. Okay.
very good. Thank you so much.
Okay. It's a pleasure to meet you in person, Board, after watching you for a few hours there on the screen. So, just to give you a background of what we've got going on here, George Petty, his wife, his 2 daughters suffered a house fire last spring. The damage to the house was relatively minimal, but it was an electrical fire which forced the demolition of the interior finishes of the entire home. In the process, the thought was to fix some of the shortcomings of this home. You'll see in the elevations a simple lift of the south elevation of the second floor, keeping the dog dormers intact to keep with the look of the existing home, as well as an extension of the shed dormer on the north elevation of the home.
May I? Oh, I see.
So, oh, sorry.
One thing just to point out to you, just because it may not be 100% clear, it's a flag lot. With the zoning board, the front elevation is now the north elevation. It's not in fact the front door. That was actually what we achieved with our zoning board approval. I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's okay. It's okay.
So just for that clarity, you might see that as it doesn't quite make sense, but that's the issue there.
So which elevation, the,
So the north elevation will show the extension of the shed dormer. There is an existing one there. This is just carrying it across further to make a little more usable space in that room.
okay.
So this has already been constructed.
It looks like.
The exterior framing, so due to the nature of the house fire, Jackie, the building department, Chris, everyone's been very helpful in helping us push this along because the homeowner initially was forced to a family's house in Virginia, couldn't find a rental here.
From my perspective, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, because normally you wait before you do construction.
Well, the only point I'm trying to make is the insurance company only pays temporary living so long.
Again, that's neither here nor there from my perspective.
When you guys were at the zoning board, I heard that what I overheard in the zoning board was that you had been approved to build to replace existing, but not to expand pending this decision.
Correct. Zoning,
So then how are you already framed out in something you're asking us to approve?
we have not done any exterior details. We've just done enough to give ourselves our exterior
If I
walls.
look at the
That
elevation,
shed dormer
if I
is
look at
already
the elevation of the house looks like this. The roof line has been changed.
Correct.
You
but
have
there-
framed out the house to what you're asking us to approve
Correct.
before you
Correct.
got here.
No finished details have been done to it in the anticipation of possibly changing it.
But my
forced-
understanding is that when you were in front of zoning board, that the building department gave you permission to build to repair existing, not to expand, and you've in fact framed out an expanded house from what was approved.
Correct. Zoning gave us permission for,
So you went ahead and framed this out.
It's pretty simple. What does the building permit say?
the building, where am I looking for, Jeff?
I don't know. I'm not here to figure out what the building permit says, but if the building permit said that X, Y, and Z, it should be X, Y, and Z. And if it's X, Y, and Z, and A, B, and C, then A, B, and C is off the table.
Correct.
So, let's not parse words.
And
Did your
I-
building permit say you could expand beyond the existing element of the roof?
The building permit gave us permission to begin work there. It did not clarify.
Okay, all right. So, all right, enough said. So it didn't say, everybody on the board is right.
No, I'm not denying that.
You built in violation of your permit. Am I wrong?
I'm not denying that. You are accurate in that. The tough spot
Okay,
that we're in
so
this
then,
is that this project has to
and
be
perhaps
complete.
this will be taken up with the building department, but, this, I'm not going to get into that, but there are penalties for that. I don't know exactly what they are. It's not my position to enforce them. But you're subject to that. I would imagine you're subject to that, let alone the ire of the board, the ARB coming before us after the fact.
So from a monetary standpoint, it's,
That doesn't matter to us. You had a building permit. Did you build according to the building permit? And you told me
I'm not denying
no.
that. I'm not denying that, Joe. I'm not denying
For the
that.
sake of
You're not
time,
denying it
I
because
think we
you're
should
saying
focus
no.
on the
Let's
standard
not
of
parse words. I'm
review.
not an attorney.
Yep, the
I just
standard
deal
of
with simple
review
facts.
is we
So let's
review
go
this
on.
as if it's not constructed, you're reviewing it anew, so let's just review it.
I agree.
Let's move along.
Okay.
And understand that this
Fine, it's
board,
constructive.
if it chooses, can deny the entire permit, and you'll have to take everything down. I'm not saying that as a threat, but realize that that's the risk that you expose yourself to.
And I do understand that there was a risk involved in that, and
Well, that's
Okay.
going to be an ongoing
All right.
risk for several properties.
Let's
in the village of
proceed.
late.
my issue, and regardless of right or wrong, I am not disagreeing with you, but my issue is that they're
Who's
all,
responsible for monitoring things during construction?
And where are the fines?
Well, that's not this
No,
board's
that's not our-
purview,
that's not
so
our
let's
purview, but it's a good
review
question.
what's before
What's in
us.
front of us?
Okay,
Okay.
we're curing a lot. You go on.
Well, anyway, I'm just looking at what you presented. I can't get into the legal stuff. I'm just, not my pay grade.
So the board has to look at this as if it's not built.
Yes.
If you, and that's the risk everybody took.
That may be fine, but someone needs to be held accountable somewhere along the line. That's all I'm
That's for the
saying.
building department
That's
to
for the
take care
building
of.
department to do, and they
Well,
should,
getting back to what's in front of us.
Yep, let's go back to your
I went back there. I realized that what you call the right elevation, which, you know, this is, it's,
It says in little itty bitty writing west.
oh, it does?
I just saw it.
West, oh, okay, the west elevation, all right. I would like you've got a piece of rake, at the north end of that elevation, you got a piece of rake that remains.
yes.
If you could complete that and restore the gable, just as trim, a 6-inch deep trim, I would be completely fine.
Sure.
But in doing that,
Carrying from the other side as
And the
well.
other side,
on the
too.
other side,
Sure.
but in doing that, you may have to also adjust the windows.
Yeah, the windows will have to shrink, you know, the
You would
pair of
have to
windows, you've got
compress
two
the
pairs of
windows,
windows, you
because
might,
Otherwise, they're going to be.
Absolutely. So one will, what we'll most likely have to do from an egress standpoint is eliminate one and push it in.
yeah, make it bigger, yeah. And that's my comment.
Do you understand what we're looking at? It's the, take this, right now, they did in here,
Oh, God.
and if you were to take the rake up, then it will complete the,
Yeah, just like it is in the drawing below. You know, the existing, I realize that's, you know, three-dimensional, but if you just preserved the 6-inch depth of the rake, I'd be fine.
Okay, understood.
and consequently, you'll move the windows as well.
Correct. And consequently, potentially making it one window.
Yes.
One window per, eliminating the doubles.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else have a thought?
This is kind of bizarre. What was originally a shed dormer is no longer really a shed dormer, is it?
What page are you on?
Well, it's extended. And actually, if you if that, what they call the front elevation there, John, if that rake board extended up, that you see it ends now, see how it ends? That would enclose the dormer, so, you know, it would look like it's coming out of the roof, not out of the wall.
On the proposed front elevation?
No, it's, I really don't have that many objections to proposed plan other than where we are in the process, and I don't understand it. But that's not a
That's
decision.
not our problem.
It's not our problem,
We can only
apparently.
approve things that have already been done without our approval.
Well, I just feel like,
So, anybody else have any comments?
Jeff?
Yeah?
No, I assume he's coming back with a new plan,
Yeah, so
Yes.
we'll vote,
based on your comments.
can we move to adjourn?
Turn?
Yeah.
would you like an adjournment so you can resubmit?
Yeah, I mean, if we can't have a decision tonight based on, obviously I'm not a licensed design professional, so I can't sign off on that change. It just circles back to the time-sensitive issue of this being a
That's, yeah,
fire.
Our next meeting is 12/28. Would you like to adjourn to that meeting?
Absolutely, that would be just fine.
I move we adjourn 117 Elm to December 28th.
I second.
Aye.
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 Thank you, board.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Builds a complete house and brings it to us.
Lawrence and Jean Cirillo, 94 Corrigan Street. Partial demolition to construct two-story single-family dwelling.
You just review it as if it doesn't exist. That's the legal standard, and it's the fairest way to
There's
do it.
a letter in the file from a neighbor, I
Someone in the
think.
building department should be drawn and quartered then.
I don't think they knew that.
270, I don't understand. All right.
Do we have affidavits on this?
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
There's a letter in the file dated the 9th. To whom it may concern, my name is Patricia Paulhoff, residing at 84 Harvest Lane. My property backyard abuts the above-mentioned property. The property is approximately a half an acre, and they already have added a pool, which is very close to my property line, and a garage with living quarters since they moved in. I do not think this property is large enough to now add a two-story, 3,715 square foot dwelling. Thank you for your consideration.
Good evening, members of the board. I'm Jeffrey Gibbons, representing Lawrence and Jean Cirillo for 94 Corrigan. This is an existing one-story ranch house, which we are partially keeping. We're not tearing it down. This is the existing house. This section of the house... Put it on the table. Okay.
Facing us, yes, thank you.
This section of the house on the right, I guess, you're right, is being kept in its entirety. The middle section is being added to, and because the house is not parallel to the property line, the setback runs right through the garage, the existing attached garage. So we are going to tear the garage off and only have additions where they are within the building envelope. These are pictures of the house we plan to build. Two-story, 4 bedrooms upstairs. There's a future bedroom in the basement. Again, it's an existing house, and the family has owned it for the last 5 or 6 years. 7 years. And they want to keep it, and they have already renovated part of it, but they would like to have a 2-story house. Most of the houses are changing over on that block to 2-story from the 50s ranches that were there. So it's going to be white trim with natural cedar shingles, cedar shingle roof. And have I lost you somewhere?
Nope, I think good. Would you like us to comment?
So
Yeah.
if I may just add the owner's perspective, we bought this house in 2013 from the Gregors. They had owned it in the 50s. They probably last put a paintbrush to the house in 51, 52. We renovated the house to get it up to code. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 1,500 square feet. We were trying to figure out what we wanted to do with the house. So what you see there is what we renovated the house to. We added landscaping. We let the landscaping mature. Pat Colhap lives behind us, at least 80 feet away from where the house sits. Our pool was put in 2013 to code. Our garage was put in 2015 to code. We had plans before this board approved for a much bigger house. Our family changed, our needs changed, the code changed. We came back now with a smaller house that fits our now family. We have 2 kids, both married, grandchild. We live in the house mostly seasonally, although my daughter and her husband live out here now during COVID. It's a family house. We have 4 bedrooms up. We have a big kitchen. We have a great room. We're keeping one of the 2 bedrooms downstairs as a bedroom. One is a den, and adding a bedroom into the basement. I'm surprised with Pat's email or letter, but that's her choice.
It needs to be read into the record.
Yeah, of course. And we have a good relationship with her, but it's, you know, it's what it is. I'll turn it back to Jeff, but I wanted you to know the history of what we were doing with the property. We landscaped it. It's mature landscaping now. It's actually a beautiful house on Corrigan Street if you've happened to drive down the street, but the block is changing and my family's needs have changed. We can't have basically 3 families with children living in a small 3-bedroom house.
Jeff, I'm surprised you haven't put, you put rear, left, rear, the cardinal points when you can. On your elevation?
Yes,
It's
I'm
confusing.
sorry about that.
It's confusing.
Yes.
Well, getting to the house, you know, the north and south wings look like they were coming together, and then you put a whole different house right in the middle. And it looks like 3 houses stuck together. I would start with 1 roof over the volume, and then, you know, vary it as you would, but it's like 3 houses. I don't know. It's incoherent, in my point of view. The
So-
roofs don't align, they're just chop, chop, chop. It's like 3
No,
townhouses.
the 2 sides have the same height roof, and it's only 26.5 feet.
No, that's fine,
The
but
main roof in the middle is 32 feet 1 inch. We're
I
allowed,
don't care how tall it is, it's the look of it and the geometry. This center portion is very different from the flanking wings. And the perspectives show it particularly. It looks like a townhouse, it looks like 3 townhouses.
You know, I'll chime in. I actually find it, and obviously taste varies in judgment. Yes, there are different elements there, but somehow it makes it interesting to me. And in fact, in several ways, more interesting than some of the other houses that have been over the course of my tenure and before on Corrigan Street that look very much like McMansions. And this house that Jeff designed has character, and maybe because of the somewhat quirkiness of the multiple aspects, but I think it's going to lay out nice on the property, and the 3D renderings, at least from my perspective, seem to bear that out. So I have no objections to it unless there are some minor details that you folks see.
I don't want to interrupt the board's deliberations, but I do want to mention that one of my, and we've tried to figure out what we did like as a family. We live in Manhasset full-time in a 1930s colonial traditional house. And what I didn't like about what I saw happening on Corrigan Street is a series of homes with double gables, and they're all swooping, and every house looks the same.
I agree with you.
I agree with you
I don't think if people were asking you to build this house like everyone else's.
I know,
on the street.
I know.
But I have to agree with Peter that it just seems a little bit jumbled. I like the idea of making it a variance, or a variable type of design, but I think it just, it looks like it.
Part of
if
that
one house-
is-
Let me finish. I just have a question on the front part of the house, that flat roof, that's not a balcony, correct?
No.
It's just-
No.
All right. And on the back of the house, I find, I mean, this is a fairly narrow lot, and I think the balcony is a privacy issue for the surrounding properties. And it's a large balcony, 21 by 17, and with the higher ceiling heights that are a new requirement of all the new construction, it makes that balcony even more of a, a privacy issue for the neighbors. So that's my, biggest concern. The design, it's like, everyone has different opinions on how their home should look. I think it could be simplified, but that's just my point of view. My biggest concern is the privacy.
We could reduce the balcony or just take it out completely.
Yeah, the most important feature for us is the covered porch. We have a covered porch on the existing home, and that's where my family gathers on summer evenings. So we wanted a house with a porch. Now, I recognize many homes in the village don't have porches because you then can't get access to those basement bedrooms that everybody wants. That's not important to me. And it's just a question of how to have a railing up there. I wanted the
totally
Chippendale
understand
railing
that.
to give an interest to the rear elevation. And if we put a sloping roof, I'm not an architect, so forgive you couldn't really put a railing on that. So if the board feels strongly about that balcony, and I get the privacy, although on the north side it's shielded by the roof over the kitchen. Cole Haupt is 80 feet away from me, and the lot next door to me is undeveloped.
At the moment.
At the moment, presumably an owner could come in and they'll design around my house as well as I look at the house next door. But what's most important is to keep the covered porch. So if the board feels strongly, we can go back and put a sloping roof or something else, but I like the idea of the balcony. I'm sorry, the
railing.
the railing.
Totally got that, yeah.
It just gives interest to the property from the back.
And in keeping the section of the house that we are, it is forward. And then on the other side, we have the problem of the setback on an angle. So we had to pull that back in order to get the kitchen in.
Yeah, the house was built in the 50s parallel to the street, but not the property line. So it sets cockeyed on the property.
And that's actually another consideration for the balcony, because of that orientation, it's even more of an issue for the neighboring property. But.
Yeah, I certainly don't want to impinge on their privacy, nor would I want them to impinge on mine.
I have a trouble with basically the paneling on the white stucco chimney.
Oh, it's just it's just something to make it not be a big mass of nothing. I mean, if you don't like those particular panels, we can take them off.
Jeff, is the chimney brick?
It's stucco.
It's stucco.
Oh, stucco.
Do you have trouble with that? It's minor, yeah. Mark, do you have any objection?
No, I guess here's my
I see.
real opinion. I think from what I see from the left side view, the front left side view, and the rear right side view, I think it's really, really successful. The only concern that I have is you've got this large, massive block to the right from the right side view in the front, which I think is what Peter's seeing as like the townhouse effect.
This section?
Yeah, this part, picturing, when I looked at it, it was like...
On the
where am
south
I?
side of the house. Yeah.
Upside down, here. Just this massive square.
Yeah, this part.
Yeah. If there were a way to just to soften it.
Well, then we'd have to
a little bit,
destroy
because
the
I think
existing house.
So much about this house is so right.
Yeah,
Then we
that's-
might as well tear the house down.
No, I don't think, you can have an L-shaped house. I don't mind that projecting at all.
not my
My
object,
problem
it's
is
the
the
way that-
center block. It's just so different.
Stylistically, it doesn't really add up as far as I'm concerned, but I think, because I think you're struggling so much with what's there and the property line.
And the
that
property line,
It sort
which
of
is hard.
shows.
The center block is the most beautiful part of the house, I think. It's a more traditional house.
And simpler than the sides.
It is.
I do think that right side, the existing south side, is difficult, and we've tried a million variations to keep it on the footing. Not for any reason other than to save cost.
I think it's fine that way. And it matches the north, the north.
Yeah, the two sides do match
Two
north and
sides
south.
match. It's the thing in the middle. It's like a sore thumb. Sorry. It's nice by itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I like all the details, And the approach, I like a picturesque house, but it's like three
Again,
townhouses.
I don't see it that way. I see it as an interesting design.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, what do we do? I'm going to vote no, if that influences anybody.
With the changes in the balcony, I would be fine with it, you know.
Honestly, understanding your struggles, even with my concerns, I'd probably vote yes.
Jeff?
He said yes.
I said fine. I like the design and what was the one change? Oh, and the balcony was the only thing you folks wanted to change. We're suggesting.
Yeah, because
We're not suggesting being concerned about.
this is the exact opposite of what we normally say
So
about cookie
Jeff,
cutter. I
you
think it's great.
voted, Jeff, aye.
We got to do
Aye.
it formally.
Was there a motion?
Is there a motion to approve,
I make a motion to approve
94.
94 Corrigan Street.
Second.
Was there a change, though? We need that in the motion.
Yeah.
Are we
To change
doing,
the
are we doing
balcony.
adjournment? Sorry.
With the removal of the balcony, I would approve it as is.
Okay. That's,
Now, by the way, on the balcony, it doesn't have to be a sloped roof. You can just change it so that there's no access.
Right.
Yeah, so I'll put a window in instead of a door.
Instead of the door.
Yeah, that's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
so we have.
We have young grandchildren, so I have no interest in
See,
having them
you
dive
know
off the
the
balcony.
So we have,
It's practical concerns for me.
so we have a motion
to approve.
to approve, and we have a second.
Second?
With the removal of the balcony,
With the
sorry.
removal of the
The removal of the balcony.
Yes.
With the removal of access to the
Access
balcony.
to the-
Access.
And there won't be any deck.
Right, yep.
So Jeff?
Yes, aye.
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 Nay? Got it.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you
appreciate
very
all
much.
your thoughts.
So the question to Larry or Lawrence is, you look too young to have grandkids.
Good genes, but like a lot of houses, I have termites.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now what?
180 Meadow?
980 Meadow.
980 Meadow.
Starting to get
Construct
grumpy
two-story, single-family
I'm starting to
dwelling with
get grumpy
attached
again.
garage and accessory structures.
It's 10:15.
I know.
It's early. What do
This is
you
my
mean?
bedtime. Thank you. Thank you.
I kind of wanted to keep you suggestions.
Yeah, I always thought this house was kind of cool until I drove up to it
Yeah.
and realized it's falling
I
apart.
realize God is taking it back, or at least the animals are.
Would you state your name?
Good
please?
evening. Lisa Poyer with InterScience on behalf of the applicant. I'm here this evening with the architects from GP Schaefer, as well as a landscape architect with Miranda Brooks. They're out in the hallway waiting their turn. The property is at 980 Meadow Lane. It's located on the south side of Meadow Lane. It's in the non-historic district. The proposed project is to demolish the existing residence and the detached garage that are located on the property, and to construct a new house with an attached garage, an open but covered pool patio, and it's attached via the covered roof garden shed, as well as a proposed swimming pool. The proposed residence will meet the FEMA regulations with regards to height and construction. And that's all I'm going to cover. Unless you have any general site questions. Otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to the architects, who will take you through the house design.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. Mickey Benson, GP Schaefer Architect. As Lisa suggested, this is 980 Meadow Lane. We are on the south side of the property, and I agree with you that existing modernist house, I thought it was a modernist masterpiece until I got within 100 feet of it or so.
It's dissolving.
It's
Up the
really
driveway, you're like, what happened?
disintegrating fast. But we're historic architects. We're very historically inclined. We'd like to approach our projects with a classical language, which in this case is tapping into what we believe is the rich history of Southampton's historic architecture. A little bit about the property. We are working within, obviously, the site limitations. There's a wetland buffer sort of in the northeastern quadrant. So we're doing our best to obviously work within the setbacks. We're keen on keeping the massing sort of reduced and broken up so that it's not an imposing structure. Because of FEMA elevation restrictions, we have to build up. We can't have our first floor down at the existing grade. So we have to come up to, I think, 21 feet is our proposed first floor elevation. I have to turn this around for you. This first rendering is the view from Meadow Lane. It's a lot of trees. It's an aggressive landscaping plan. We want to, that's for privacy purposes, but also to minimize the visual impact of the new house from Meadow Lane. Ashley from Miranda Brooks will speak about any questions you might have about the proposed planting scheme. We also want to have a graceful driveway, which helps mitigate the grade that we're bringing up to the level of the house. This is a rendering from the ocean side, looking back. This is our house here. We did this rendering in conjunction with the neighboring properties, just to give you a little context. Our goal is really to make this house feel like it's been here for 100 years. It's modeled after a shingle style precedent. We'd like to believe that any passerby would believe this had been here since the 1920s, early 20th century. We think we've successfully done that in the massing, the roof lines. We brought the eaves down fairly low. We're using very traditional vernacular language and material. This is a larger scale elevation of the primary front facade facing Meadow Lane. Kind of gives you the sense of the materiality. This is a very traditional idiom. It's natural cedar shingle, white painted trim, including the shutters. Classical elements, we're doing this sort of projecting pediment with an elliptical window, 8/8 double hung windows on the second floor and 12/12 on the first floor. And then some kind of pared down Greek Revival entry details. These are Greek Doric columns for the front portico, just again in keeping with the sort of Southampton's architectural history, and McKim and White is one of our great go-tos amongst others. This is the overall front facade in conjunction with the garage. So the lower elevation shows the garage in the foreground, which is the closest wing to the road. We've got none of this will be visible from the street, but this is a good graphic to give you a sense of the change in elevation of the grading.
So the one drive goes down toward the garage, the other goes...
Correct, yeah. We didn't want the garage volume to overwhelm the main
right.
house, so we're trying to sync that and take advantage of the actual new grade to help minimize the visual impact of that. The front facade, you can see here in the upper elevation, and then there's a wing attaching the garage, so you're seeing the section through that. And then the sort of family room kitchen wing off to the west, I believe that is. This upper elevation on this sheet is the oceanside elevation facing south. Again, really trying to break up the massing, having a very traditional, symmetrical, double gabled volume with bay windows projecting, connected by a porch, and some shed dormers. Family room wing off to the west side. Painted whitewashed brick chimneys, whitewashed brick foundation. And then this elevation, the west elevation, is showing sort of the primary mass of the house with sort of a glazed breezeway. We're calling it sort of an orangery component linking the garage, outbuilding, and pool pavilion. And then these final two elevations, this shows the east elevation. It's really the primary mass of the main house volume facing the eastern neighbor. And the elevation below is showing the east elevation, again, that sort of long hyphen linking the main volume to the garage wing. And it's fairly straightforward, but this just gives you an indication of the material palette, just showing some natural cedar shingle siding with the painted white trim, and then a slightly different species of cedar shake for the roof, which will be weathered to sort of a darker brown, again, very traditional kind of material palette, and some whitewashed brick. And with that, I can entertain questions, or my colleague from Miranda Brooks can speak about the landscaping.
I just have one. 15 years ago, Fred Steele gave an architectural tour of the area and showed this house. And at that point, it was understood that this site would be developed, but that the house on Pelote would be moved to the Bayside because the same family owned the property. And there's nothing I can do about it. I just mourn the loss of a survivor from the era of beach cottages on Pelote. The only other ones around are the one on Calf Creek, which is a Julian Netsky and Peter Blake collaboration. And I haven't been able to find out who the architect of this 1962 structure is. So I just need to say that R.I.P. Little Pelote House.
I think the design is really nice. I don't really have any objections. I noticed one of the chimneys is fake. The symmetrical entrance with the balustrade.
That's correct, yes.
It's not a deal breaker. That's the only thing I object to, but I wouldn't want that whole
I wonder why the widow's walk with flanking the
spanning between the chimneys. It's a visual element to break up the sort of, it's a long ridge line. I don't think visually it'll have a strong presence in your experience of the house, because from grade levels, you'll get a glimpse of it, on broader views.
It looks sort of like an afterthought. I mean, in that it's not that prominent, but that's my bias. And the other thing is the rubble stone site walls. I don't know a precedent for those.
I'm going to let Ashley speak about that. It doesn't really impact the architecture of the house.
No,
that's more related to the site work and,
okay.
and retaining
because
walls.
I don't know a precedent for that in this neighborhood.
No.
No.
Yeah, okay.
Any other?
No?
My only question is, all shutters are operable?
They are operable. I don't intend that they'll operate them if ever, but they'll have actual
But they're
functioning
in fact
hardware.
working function.
And they will close.
Absolutely, and they would close. Oh yes, and
They
their
would
size
close-
to actually.
They would actually close this.
Oh yeah.
door.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yes.
Great, okay.
Ashley.
It's a lovely house. Echo the- I echo the living room. Is it accessible?
Hello, I'm Ashley Wolf from Miranda Brooks Landscape Design. Speaking to camera or people. So as you saw in the beginning, our very thick streetscape, we are in a wetland area, as I'm sure you are familiar with. We have this dotted line shows an existing flagged wetland. So we have this whole front area, which we're considering a wetland buffer. So it's all native planting, and it's really about bringing back a lot of species that used to exist here, that still do, but that need a lot more support so that we can support all of our birds and all the little creatures that we like, and treat the water. In addition to that, if you've driven by this site recently, you'll notice there's kind of like a sad privet hedge and and a bad lawn. So we just want to bring back that.
The Flintstones are on.
The native ecology of Meadow Lane, and also tie into what you see happening on Meadow Lane, which are some really nice kind of wetland buffer, robust plantings. So we're kind of tied into that. To go back to that question about the rubble wall, I would say, we are kind of borrowing in this image specifically from our kind of far-flung neighbors in Montauk. That's where this wall is from. We are, while we're trying to tie into a traditional architectural language here, we're also in a situation where we're building up in this way that we haven't necessarily confronted with FEMA and sea level rise and everything. So we're trying to borrow bits from the greater area to hopefully augment, what we see here, and to keep it a natural feel, use local stone, have it look very natural and heavily planted again. So it's really not, it's not like modern rubble walls. It's really just almost feels like it was there and the plants just kind of scrounged up around it. And yeah, so basically the idea is really to nestle this traditional house into a native landscape in a way that everyone can enjoy, from people to all the critters. So if there's any questions about landscape, I'm happy to answer any.
Beautiful.
Well, I'll just chime in for a second, because Sarah picked up on something that I did too, because I think you've done a wonderful job on the house, the design, consideration, and also planting species that are part of the area and vernacular. And then there's this New England brick wall, at least, to the extent you found one in Montauk. To me, it sings New England, and having spent a good deal of my life in New England, I've seen a lot of stone walls and hard scrabble walls. So I would wish that there is a material that you could use for the walls that would be more in keeping with the vernacular.
Yeah, I mean, of course, as you try to discuss what kind of materials to use here, there's brick, we see a lot here, and there isn't really, we're not, a granite state. We're not, this area. There isn't a rock that you pull out of the ground.
Exactly.
So this is really
How about that?
So
We're sand and clay.
Yeah.
And some small stones and shells, but not hard scrabble.
Yeah, I mean, this is, it relates to the ocean. Obviously, we're on the ocean, and where you are, that this wall in Montauk is a different situation where, but it's related. And again, we do have to invent some type of language to use here where we have these walls that we want to make it feel natural and not completely architectural.
Can I ask a question?
Well, in my view, it's unnatural and therefore architectural. I'll turn it back to the board. They may have different thoughts.
I find it alien as well, Jeff.
How much higher will the new grade be versus where it stands right now with the current house? Is it a matter of?
It is. It's a big
It's
difference.
significant.
Yeah, we're going.
I think it's the other. There's another one that shows it kind of. Yeah. Is this existing?
This one is.
Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah. So here we go. It's 9+ feet.
9 feet.
Yeah.
So almost as high as the bulk of the current building.
To the understory of the existing. Yeah. It's a FEMA requirement of getting that elevation.
I'm just curious, thinking of the landscape, how you approach
Yeah.
the house.
Yeah.
It's incredibly challenging to manipulate that.
What are the locations of those rubble walls then? Is it around the drive primarily?
Yeah, so it would be. So you can see these kind of darker lines here. We have a wall here, which will be planted like up against it, so you really wouldn't, again, see it. You'll see the top of it from the house. This wall here, this wall hugging here, a little one here, and a little one here.
So you could say the idea is not for the wall itself to be a prominent part of the landscape as much as, I mean, the idea is to have the shrubs and the growth growing out and around into the wall.
Exactly. We're trying to make it as an extension of the landscape as much as possible, as opposed
Not
to
a border.
feature. Yeah.
It's part of the
But it's
build-up.
it's a recurring theme.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the idea is to make it to make them beautiful, as well as kind of hidden, minimal. I mean, again, this grade that we have to come up to, we start here at elevation 6, we come up to elevation 18, bottom of step. So it's a big climb.
So can you talk about actually how much of these, how tall these proposed walls would be and how much of them will you actually see?
Yeah, so there's a variation. So this wall here is only 3 feet tall, and you would only see it from the downhill side. It's completely banked up. This wall here is 6 feet, but it's, again, you can like very heavily planted up against it. We don't want to be seeing it. Then these ones are just kind of parged concrete, invisible site walls. Around here, they are about, because the grade varies a bit, they're 3 to 4 feet. And again, planted up against, in addition to shrub planting, we'll have, lots of climbers and whatever, we can get to establish there. Same on this side, 3 to 4 feet.
Is it possible that the parged concrete that you're using could be substituted, reinforced? I mean, it is such an alien material for this community. And I think one example in Montauk doesn't make a season, basically.
But the alternative would be a concrete wall?
Well, parged concrete that has landscape against it might be better than something like that. I mean, it's a thought. It's another material rather than...
Something more natural would be preferable from my standpoint.
I wonder if would the stone allow the climbers to engage it
Yeah,
more readily,
definitely.
and it
Yep.
might accelerate
So the intent, this is really part of it, it's more structural than it is ornamental.
It's serving a function, but we want it
Yeah.
to sort of recede into the landscape and not
Yeah.
make a statement, not make a formal statement.
Yeah. And, the idea being that you could, in theory, have pulled some of these rocks from the ocean or the wetlands, rather than pulling in something completely alien, like granite.
It's still pretty alien.
So I missed something there. So you said you're willing to change the material? Is that what I heard or not?
I think, it's definitely a conversation. I don't think we'd want to necessarily go to parged concrete. I think we want something that is a little more natural.
I think what you're hearing the board say is you've done a great job at designing a great house that makes everybody feel, wow, you really get it. And then you've got this one piece that you seem to be hanging on that's going to stand in your way in approval. And so I would converse all we wish, and that's fine, but I would really take the board's view into consideration. A 6-foot hard wall is not immaterial. It's making a statement, and to me that statement is New England. So in any event, converse, yes, but I don't think you have sufficient votes this evening get approval. Which is a shame.
Would you be amenable to finding something other than, I threw out parged concrete,
right.
Used it. It's not ideal, but you might find something that is not, that may be more suitable.
So what kind of stone would be suitable? Broken bluestone or?
You see, that's the trouble.
I don't know.
I
think
in addition to the material of the walls, it's potent. Look at all the elements to the walls, the quantity of the walls, the size of the walls, the materials of the walls, the placement of the walls. They're a big part of what you've presented, but they seem to be problematic to the board in terms of what you presented. So to the extent that you can tweak that element, I think you have a very workable plan.
Another example that maybe isn't specifically Southampton that I think of a lot is Sag Harbor and the beautiful stone foundations that you see on a lot of old houses. And maybe studying what that is and seeing if we can incorporate that. Because again, we wouldn't want to necessarily import a granite or, from China, It's like
building block.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're trying, I know this is Montauk. This is just for reference. This is the the Warhol estate, that's what that came from. And, you know, we're trying to do something that is true to the area. It's a challenge, because again, the walls, you know, it's a hard project for us too, to really figure it out.
A retaining wall.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I get that.
understand that.
It just, I agree that it reads a little bit more New England, a little more Connecticut to me, like a little more Washington, Connecticut than it reads the language of Southampton.
I'd also like to add just one more thing, not to beat this to the ground, but Montauk has a different geography. There's a reason there's a lighthouse on there and it's on a cliff. There are elevations, the glacial plains, and how they all worked out. I'm not going to get into geology, but it's a lot different than the flatlands in Southampton.
I know, and unfortunately, we don't have a stone here to pull from. So we need something. We're trying to have it somewhat relevant, but again, not doing everything brick, not everything bluestone, not everything.
Well, it's the beach, so there must be something that
Yeah.
can be arrived.
I mean, we do see a lot of stucco walls, you know, but we want to make something that's really beautiful too.
For
even
sure.
though
It's
it's
natural as well.
Yeah.
It's something I'm sure we'll have to go back to the owner and talk about.
My faith is with you. I think he can do it.
I do too.
Is, to the chairman's point about the board being amenable to the architecture of the house, is there a pathway where we could get a vote on the house architecture and then revisit the site walls?
I'd be looking, as everybody else is, to Alice on that.
Yeah.
All eyes on you.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
We close the hearing portion for the house and leave the hearing portion open for the wall only?
That's what we're
We
talking about.
don't need a written determination on this. So we could approve the house tonight and
Pending landscape change.
not the walls. You can resubmit on that. Probably need a new application.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a very workable compromise, Alice, and board members.
Thank you, Alice.
So do we move to approve the house and revisit the retaining walls at a later date?
Anyone has any ideas in the meantime?
Okay.
No, I know.
I second.
I'm not going to be driving around looking at walls.
Thank you so much for your time. Okay.
I really like the walls. No one cares, but I like them.
Oh, so do I.
I knew I recognized them too. I've been to that property.
When you drive through that section of Connecticut, all you see is beautiful rubble stone walls.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a good one.
Do see them in Montauk.
What?
At that one property.
Right. But Southampton.
No.
And it is hard because there is no natural stone.
Oh, yeah, there's
All the houses.
No, I know, but did anybody decide?
It's the only natural resource they had to pull from.
That's our icing on the cake today.
So the
What are we
next
up to
one
now?
is Center
10
Street.
Center
10
Street.
Center
Number
Street.
15, Apogee LLC, 10 Center Street, construct two-story, single-family dwelling and detached garage.
We have renderings that we were gonna
Okay.
go along with it.
Do we have affidavits in the file?
Thank you. Renderings in the back.
Do we have affidavits?
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Will you please pass this?
You're getting good at this. Turn the routine over here.
Here they are.
Yeah, we got it, Peter. Thank you.
Thank you. When you're ready, will you state your name for the record?
Yes. Just kind of get this laid out for
Okay.
everybody. All right. Good evening. Ready to go? All right. Good evening. My name is Brian Glasser. I'm the architect representing Kevin Wells and his new house on the corner of Center Street and Corrigan. What we're looking to propose is basically a shingle-style house, 2 stories, with simple gable roof lines. The one challenge that we originally started off with on this project was the fact that it's a corner lot and meeting the requirements of the front yard setback on 2 sides, which, as you can see, kind of restricts our rear yard. Basically, the house that we proposed it roughly has a GFA of around 3,000 square feet. The lot coverage is around 3,300 square feet, which is, under 400 square feet from the required allowable. Going through just some of the renderings here that you can see. Some of the materials that we chose to use on the house, starting at the roof, would be we're going with a natural cedar roof, Maybach, and here's some samples to kind of present here. Your camera can pick all these things up, but so we have a natural cedar roof shown there to the right. Maybach pre-finished white cedar siding. We're also looking to do a Marvin window with a grayish tone trim around the actual windows. And we're also going to be doing, from Glengarry, a Charleston brick sample pattern, which you can see in the rendering. From the rear northwest elevation kind of shows that the chimney massing. The current lot to the south of the property is vacant piece of property. Towards the, sorry, it's upside down for me. So to the south is a vacant piece of property, and to the west, we have an existing house with a driveway behind it. To give us a little privacy, we propose to have a detached garage, which would be constructed of a simple gable structure. And you can see it here in the rear northwest elevation. We would just let that naturally weather. The idea was to have it kind of blend in with the landscape. My client had a landscape rendering done that kind of shows the landscaping around the property. But this detached structure was going to give us a little more privacy from the pool area, seeing that, there's a driveway and a garage on that western property line. That's pretty much that. Kevin, you want to go over the landscape plan? Or?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Kevin Wells. I'm a managing member of the Apogee LLC, contract vendor on the property. And I have 2, that's one.
Maybe we can just leave this one. What do we get this?
All right, you got it.
Here's the,
Thank you. On the north and south elevations, the dotted line for the roof behind,
let me just pull up what you're talking about here on the drawing. The dotted line. North and south, okay, yes.
yeah, that looks like, did that indicate a flat roof in the center?
There would be, yes.
That's not code. You can't have a flat roof that big. It's got to be limited to 5% of the roof area.
5% of the roof area.
So that's a big problem.
Okay.
Probably do a roof plan so you can, do the calculation.
5% of the overall roof area?
Yeah, but, yes.
bank of windows on the east elevation, the front elevation, the stacked
Yes.
6, 2, 2, 2, is to me a disruptive element, I guess is the best way to describe it in the overall scheme. It's alien to the rest of the fenestration pattern. I don't know if anybody else.
I call it overwhelming.
All right.
I agree. There's nothing nearby like it either. And it's right on the corner.
Well, we've just gone through 6 weeks of conversations on a
Yes, we
house
have.
very similar to this type of situation. And the windows, I mean, big windows like that, just in general, make a property or a building look more commercial than residential, first of all. There's a light pollution issue. There's a privacy issue for all concerned, actually. And it's just not in keeping with the surrounding homes. I mean,
There is no stairway to heaven.
oh yeah, you want to read that into the, do we have to?
Yeah, I need to read a letter into to the record. We, the undersigned, are residents of the village in close proximity to the proposed construction at 10 Center Street. We have viewed the plans and have serious concerns about the 18 feet of windows along the east and north sides of the corner of the house. As these windows surround an inside stairway, we believe the light pollution will be intolerable, flooding into our yards and homes, reducing our privacy. We ask that you request changes to limit the number of windows on this corner of the new house. If these windows are allowed to be installed, we ask that it be stipulated in the approval plans that 18-foot evergreen trees be planted and maintained around this corner of the house to block any light streaming from stairway. Also, in the past, permission has been given for village trees to be cut down or severely pruned. We also ask that all village trees be left as is, since they enhance both the privacy and the overall look of the neighborhood. If they be damaged to the point where they cannot be salvaged, we request they be replaced with a similar tree of equal size. We trust you will take our concerns into serious consideration. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 property owners on Corrigan Street that have signed this letter.
Yeah, that's understood. And the idea of this corner of the house, because of our restrictions with our front and side yard setbacks, we don't, which is typical of any new construction that I've seen go up in the last 6 years, have a double height or a grand entry foyer. Because of our restriction with the 2 front yard setbacks, we don't have the width to get any type of grand entrance or foyer in the property. So the idea was on that south side, the north side, which is the darker side of the property, to have that stairwell going up, and that would substitute for the lack of having a grand entry foyer.
Actually, the fact that it's on a corner light makes this issue even more pronounced to me. So I understand from a design standpoint which we have to do, but it doesn't, it's.
The idea is not to have some voyeuristic corner of the house where people are looking in and people are looking out. Privacy is paramount to me. I don't want people looking in. I don't want to pollute light, and I want the privacy. So that's why, as outlined in the landscape plan, we propose this entire corner. We're going to start with 10 to 12-foot evergreen trees. If they want us to do 18s, I'm fine with that. We also, on this rendering, this would be what people would see from the front of the house, starting with 8-foot privet. And then we also have 2 very large sycamore trees in front of that corner glass. So literally, this is not something that any neighbor is going to see. It's not something that I want a neighbor to see. If they're okay, if they're already saying that they're okay with it and they're stipulating it with the 18-foot evergreens, that I'm completely fine with that.
I could never approve it as it stands.
I
And
approve it.
in addition to the balcony off the back of the
All the way
house.
around that the corner's a problem.
I'm sorry, what was that?
You're kind of hearing all the way around that I don't think any of us are comfortable with this fenestrated corner with the stairway floating into it. I don't think the neighbors have.
What is it that makes you uncomfortable in that?
Pardon?
Glass.
The
Just
glass?
too much.
Glass
It's
area.
just-
Glass, the amount of light.
You just got this.
So what percentage of glass would you say would be acceptable?
I think it should reflect the rest of the house.
Yeah,
The
it's an,
window-
I don't think.
it's an alien
We
quality.
played around with just doing double hungs in that on both sides, and it's honestly a more offensive corner when you just white shingle the side and put in a couple sets of double hungs. You see the corner more. This is the sample of the
of the window. So it's a very soft gray.
Yep.
And the soft gray window corner coupled with the extensive landscaping around it.
Sorry.
And that's, and that's
I
a
like the
galvan
color,
roof.
fine.
The color is
The color's the
lovely.
only thing I like about it,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. That's too much.
But in addition to the windows, the
Cadet
balcony
work.
on the back of the
Not very
house
modern.
also creates privacy issues for
who?
adjoining lots. And I think
It doesn't
that-
look on any lots. There's a street.
So I'm a little confused, folks, by the logic of insisting, if you will, or at least trying to put forward a case on ground-to-roof windows that to get light, but not to see in, not to see out, and to be covered with trees.
Yeah,
So
mutually exclusive.
something that doesn't fit. So if the intent is to cover it with trees,
Well, the property
then
would be covered with
logic
trees,
would
not the
have it that you
windows.
then have no trouble reducing the number
Please
of
come and go,
windows and the
sorry.
percentage of
The
windows on
house
that
stands.
corner with something that's a bit more in keeping with a house that doesn't have ground to rooftop windows.
The biggest thing, I mean, one thing just to add to it, when it comes to the window placement, being on a corner lot, we understand the people looking in, but we were concerned about neighbors like adjacent to that actual piece of property. So we figured the street is the least intrusive to viewing over to see other pieces of property. Understanding to try to take, like, put less windows in that position, I can understand that. But to be intrusive, if it was on a neighboring, like a side yard.
Any way you explain it, it's
Yeah.
not a characteristic of any home in that area.
Right, so
Nor a
that's the biggest-
characteristic of in
so
general
it's
of
the
any house
char-
in the village.
Right.
The house on North Captain's Neck that just went up has almost floor-to-ceiling windows in the front stairwell of the house, almost exactly the same.
Well, I wasn't
Yeah.
around when that was
It
approved.
it would not have been approved in front of this board, that's for sure.
Basically, we're reviewing this particular.
In this
side.
particular location.
Okay. What else about the house?
Peter, we kind of jumped off subject, but yeah, when it came to the flat roof area, to change this picture, I mean, if I can, show roof plans showing 5% of that coverage and adjusting this pitch to work, for the most part, I don't want to jump around, but I wanted to stay on what you
Yeah, we can
originally
fix
said.
it fine.
That's not a big deal, right? If we just,
No, as long as you
yeah.
meet the, the 7/12 pitch and the
Yes.
5% and all that stuff. No, it's
Yep.
not a deal breaker, no.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was something that could be, maybe we don't have to review
But you would
it.
have been in trouble had he not caught it.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, I appreciate that. No, it's good. So the biggest thing seems like the windows going up.
In the balcony on the back of the house.
Now, when it comes to, just to get a little direction, is it a matter of changing the size so it just kind of blends in? Are you okay with, let's just say the south side?
Mirroring the other side of the house would make the house look balanced, and that would be fine.
If we were to do something similar to this over here,
Yeah.
would make everyone feel a little more comfortable with the situation.
Yeah,
I think
the as
it
is
is more
is,
in keeping with the neighborhood as well,
More in keeping.
and sort of the language of Southampton, yeah.
Right. Okay. How do you feel about that if we were to get this adjusted?
I don't think it's enough light. I think we're going to have to kind of go back to the drawing board because, again, the whole problem that we had with the width of the house is, 35 feet?
Yeah. No.
So that's really the whole problem, is we were kind of fighting not being able to fit in the double height entry foyer, which is like, I would imagine almost every house that is new construction that's proposed would have a double height entry foyer, which we don't have. And I think it's
In all fairness, the interior is not our concern or purview.
it's mine. I
I know,
understand.
but, and this board is in between the building application and the building permit. And we're charged with trying to create harmony. Doesn't mean that every house has to be identical, but harmony. And what you hear the board saying is that the mass of windows is disharmonious. So you've got a good architect there, I can tell. Work creatively, and I have a feeling you'll come up with a solution.
How would you feel if we keep kind of, I don't even want to say the same structure of the windows, but if we would increase the size of the mullions where we could still get light on the east and north corner of the stairwell.
If it was a percentage, basically the percentage.
Just
of
do
them.
bigger mullions, kind of this,
No, that's not going to be your solution. I think that you probably want to request an adjournment and go and tinker some more,
Unless you want us to vote. And
unless you want to vote up or down.
I think we know where that's going to go.
Yeah. I think you should do an adjournment.
Yeah.
Well,
So can we adjourn it to the,
Oh, I'm sorry, there's a member of the public who wants to.
sorry.
Excuse me.
I got
Thank
nervous.
you
I
very
thought-
much.
I'm sorry.
I'm a resident of Corrigan Street in this area.
Can you,
Here with
can you
another
come
step
up
up
and
to the-
identify
to-
yourself, please?
Thank you.
I'm
You should
Kathy
state your
Harrington.
name.
Thank you for listening to me for a moment. I understand these gentlemen are trying to make a statement with the house. These are not large lots. There is a house directly across the street on Center Street and on Corrigan Street. Many of the houses would be able to see these lights and have to deal with them. It's a stairway. It's going to be on frequently, if not constantly. And that's our concern. We don't want their light invading our homes.
Exactly, exactly.
Thank you very much.
Right, thank you so much.
I understand.
holidays.
I'm not trying to be confrontational, or the idea is not to come in here and make a statement and say, hey, welcome to the
No, no,
neighborhood.
we're
It's not, it's not the intention.
We're talking.
So,
Thank you for your time.
Can I just talk to my client for a second? Sure. Like, give us a second.
Yeah.
I know.
We have a night.
Folks, while they're doing that, I noticed, and I don't know if it's of concern to any of the board members, the metal roofing over the doorway.
Oh, the galvalume?
Sorry?
The galvalume over the front door?
Oh,
I was so fixated on the other, I didn't notice it.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, so,
I don't mind.
I think carrying through the shingles from the roof may be more appealing.
I agree, Jeff.
I agree, Jeff.
Oh, I'm sorry, was he talking
I'm sorry.
about us?
Yeah.
Oh, what was the situation?
We've had a comment that the metal roof over the front, over the entrance would be better served by to match the overall roofing material.
Roof.
Yeah. And we should give as much feedback as we
Feedback.
can, I think.
I think the door, have you looked at the entrance door?
I find the windows, sort of the transom design, are they single operating
Yeah,
unit?
yeah, it's a casement window, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that with a double hung, you get more of the traditional texture of a house. When you don't have the double hung division and you apply the Miltons, they can look kind of thin. So I have an issue with that. And then what you're saying about the front door?
Well, you've got a solid door, and then, is that a solid door, the custom
Yeah,
stained?
solid wood door, yes.
Stained front door,
Yep.
and then you've got on either side glass openings? with-
Side lights, yeah, side lights to the left and the right.
Clear glass?
There's grills in there, but it's similar to the
Oh, yeah.
of the rest of.
Yeah, I find those grills not convincing. They're too weak. They're too witsy. I don't know. I don't know how to say it properly, but
Flimsy.
thin,
Thin.
insubstantial.
Mhm.
I think double hungs would serve you well. It would eliminate that issue.
Like a 4/1 grill pattern?
Yeah,
you'd
or
prefer?
6/1, I think, but, again, it's just me, I don't. So I guess that and the side lights and the corner are what we need to work on.
And the roof material over
The roof.
entrance.
So should we adjourn?
yes. Can we adjourn to the, what is the next meeting, the 28th?
The 28th?
28th?
Uh-huh.
How hard is the...
Thursday before at
how-
noon.
Sorry, how hard is the stance on the racing metal roof over the front door? Because that was really an element that I loved. It's consistent with the neighborhood. It's been done over and over, I mean, I don't see why that would be.
Zinc-
I think
it's
zinc cedar.
Zinc-coated copper. It wouldn't be an aluminum-looking roof. Zinc-coated copper is a little bit more traditional-looking,
That's
a little more environmental friendly than.
That's less of an issue than the other.
Is it galvalume or is it actually zinc-coated copper?
Well, I'm sorry, what did you
Is
say?
it galvalume or is it actually zinc-coated
Zinc-coated copper. It's, instead of lead-coated, you don't have to worry about the pollutants leaking into the ground and stuff like that, which I think most people prefer.
The lead-coated copper, yeah. Okay.
In architecture school, they, you know, it's all about the environment and all these things, so when I can do the right thing in certain areas, I try to
Do it.
yes.
That's a good
We
thing.
like that. We
Yeah.
like-
Maybe the chimneys couldn't be quite so articulated as well.
I think using the cedar over the, instead of metal, would tone down the house a bit.
That's not.
I'm sorry, what's this board member's name?
Jeff.
Yeah, he's
Jeff,
the
sorry, I didn't
chairperson.
see your name. Did he, I don't know if the renderings were newer, just to kind, I don't know if you got a chance to kind of see, if you could see these from your screen. I think the zinc-coated copper kind of ties in nicely with the actual, the finishes of the actual trim and the natural cedar as it weathers. That's kind of the concept that we were going with there, just to,
That seat is going to be left natural, or?
it's gonna be left natural, yeah, and it'll, like, you know, it's supposed to
And in
weather
your plan,
gray,
it's
it's supposed to gray out a little.
In your
Weather.
plan, it's matching your gutters and your downspouts?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
So,
No, noted. We're going to go back to work, and we'll see you guys on the,
all right, so I move that
28th.
we adjourn.
and that's a Zoom meeting, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Adjourn 10 Center Street to December 28th.
A second?
Aye.
Aye.
We'll ask now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When do we have to submit the new drawings?
Thursday noon
Christmas
before.
Eve.
Christmas
Eve
Eve.
at noon.
Yeah, big fun.
Sorry about that.
It's fine. Do you guys need that landscaping plan? Or is that mine?
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you. Or we appreciate it.
You guys kept my attorney up late.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, all of us.
She'll send you a bill, right?
Mom's a nurse, she's working right now.
Oh, look, that's great. Daddy owes you big. Well done. You've been bribed, honey.
You've been immortalized.
You'll be on television.
9:50's adjourned.
You'll have to see yourself on television. It's recorded.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stretch gates.
Get home safe, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you. Thank you. Go to sleep now.
Good night.
That's where I'm headed soon.
Oh, yeah, I'm wired for sound. Oh,
Okay.
okay,
Thanks.
we've got M4950 LLC, 950 Meadow Lane construct, two-story single-family dwelling with attached garage.
That's been
and
adjourned
accessory-
to the,
Adjourned.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we're back to, I think we're up to the gates.
We're
at
at the
Wednesday.
gate. 11
We're at the
Wine
gate.
Yeah. I think it was adjourned at the last minute, but this, we're up to the gates at
Yeah,
Wednesday.
I see it, I see it.
we need to wait for
thanks.
Alice? Oh, no, there she is.
So, driveway gates, 11
You guys
Wine
aren't tired
Dash
of seeing me?
LLC. Hey,
How's it going?
welcome back.
You missed us.
Thank you. I know.
Nice to be here at 11, huh?
Oh man, hopefully we won't, we'll do my best to not keep you for sure. Jeff Ulysse, agent for the applicant, Pasaki, owner, 11 Wyandanch. Great news, the client did choose to make adjustments as per your guidance from our last hearing. We reduced the size of the gate to 7 feet from the pillar, and we also reduced the size of the dip to a full foot. We also reduced the size of the solid panel to exactly a foot. This way, the gate itself is a little bit more transparent. Also, not too how would I put it, too large in design. Still maintaining the 18 feet away from the street. And once again, on Wyandanch Lane, not in the historic district, but on a street which is comprised of about 20 different homes with a number of different gates and elaborate designs, of course, on that particular street. Any questions? Material and color is all still the same, white AZAC. That has not changed. I also removed, we had some tongue and groove on the columns. We made the columns nice and flat. Just ways, once again, that's to make it a little bit more simple in design.
Looks fine to me,
It's fine.
Good.
as far as gates go.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, good. Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I move to approve the gate at 11 Wyandanch.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Great,
Aye.
thanks, Jeff.
Well, I'm not leaving you quite yet.
No,
I got
but
one more.
You got one down.
Well, I gotta
Right.
make- my clients are here, so I want them to come in.
Well, again, you lowered it and
Exactly,
Well,
so
Harvest Lane.
150 Harvest Lane.
Okay.
If all gates could be 5 feet tall.
Four clients are here at 11:10. Oh, we're here at 11:10, so what am I saying?
Oh yeah, we're here fighting a good fight with you.
Do you want to just announce the name of the application?
Sure.
I don't think I heard that. No, I was talking to the chair.
I'm sorry.
Tonight's chair.
Oh, Che and Michelle Wijenge, is that right?
Just Senjay?
Wijenge?
Come on up, guys.
Hello.
150 Harvest Lane?
Yes.
okay.
Sit right there. Hi.
No?
So we've returned and we've took into account a lot of the suggestions and the guidance of the board from our last hearing. We reduced the scale, of course, reduced it to 6-foot piers, columns, and the gate itself is at 5 feet, actually 4.7 to be exact. We also removed the vertical member, or excuse me, the horizontal member, which did kind of make the gate seem a little bit more on the bulkier side. Still white, AZAC material, which we believe also is in keeping with the community as well.
Well, I think it's fine. You listened, I think it's great.
Yeah. I mean, it's,
I have no problem with it. Mark?
No, I'm great. I think you've done what we
Right.
have.
Just one question in terms of, is this an automatic gate?
Yes, this is an automatic gate.
And how will it be activated?
There is going to be a keypad.
Okay, so I would ask, especially given the fact that this is a neighborhood, that this will be the first gate in that neighborhood, that you figure out a way, Jeff, to install a keypad or electronic mechanism or weight pressurized opening mechanism. So I would approve it, however, not with a gooseneck or accessory keypad. I think that is as the applicant knows, it's taken the board with some difficulty to approve this gate. I appreciate the changes you've made. So now I'm asking, as a board member, to make one more change and to figure out a way not to have an external keypad.
I just wonder if there's some mobile app that could activate a gate at this point.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I bet it has to exist.
Yeah. I'm sorry about that.
I'm Cho Jasing and I'm Michelle's husband. Nice to meet you all, by the way. I've been watching the saga as it's been going on, so I appreciate.
Saga of the gate.
Indeed.
Tomatoes at the screen.
And Jeffrey, we're more than happy to look at alternative options. We're not tied to the gooseneck keypad. In fact, I personally don't particularly care for them, so be happy to look at an alternative.
So in as much as everybody's okay with the design, then I would move to approve it as presented, however, without any external keypad or mechanism.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So can we,
So
We
moved?
need a second.
second?
Aye.
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 Great. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was easy.
Now you
can go to bed.
Yeah, well done.
Apparently it's
Good
nice.
night.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Thank you very much for for the changes made.
Definitely.
Comes up to your house.
Hmm?
If someone comes up to your house, you can have.
Okay. We'll just have to make sure, folks, that all those exceptions get noted
Yeah.
in the minutes, as I know Jackie will, and then that they become part of the approval.
Gates going on. All right.
Joe Roby, 60 Toilsome Lane, driveway gates.
60 Toilsome?
60 Toilsome.
Joe Roby.
He's on his way momentarily. Could we do the next one? I have both.
Sure.
28?
DMDC Holdings LLC, 128 Prospect Street.
Sorry.
I feel the same.
I'm doing the
Been
best I
really
can.
I don't think I have.
Okay.
What's the address of this?
128 West
West
Prospect.
Prospect. It's a,
Oh, yeah,
estate.
yeah, stockade.
Okay.
Okay. You
Hi,
know-
so
Your name
we're
for
back
the
from
record, please?
I'm Michael Mayer from East Hampton Fence and Gate, and here with the property owner. He was Good not evening, here. Gord. He was not here at the last meeting. So we're back. We resubmitted. We made the gate a little bit lower. And
Can you put it
pardon?
on the table, please, and just turn it the other way?
We should have.
Yes, but everybody else has to see.
Thank you.
Watching.
There you go.
There, thanks.
So we, like I said, we lowered the gate a little bit based on your comments and made it a little more see-through. And so we're back with those changes.
I don't think I think it's too opaque still. I would, at minimum, lower the horizontal rail quite a bit to get more of the pickets and less of the solid panel.
Yeah, it has the appearance of a little more of a blockade than a security type of situation, which is typically how we consider gates.
Mark?
Do you suggest something that is like
It's a barrier.
50/50, 50 picket, 50
Well,
solid?
in general, our guideline is 50% transparency for the entire gate area, so.
Okay.
So, let me add, Sarah, if it's okay, if I'm not interrupting. Well, I guess I am interrupting.
No, it's great. We like it.
Thanks. So you mentioned the word picket, you mentioned the word size. I'm sure you drive up and down that street every day or when you're there. And so you probably know that there's only one pair of gates at 28 West Prospect. And those are very simple picket gates. At the highest, I don't think they're more than 4.5, 5 feet. In the middle, they're probably 4 feet or thereabouts, maybe even lower. They're more functional than they are, more decorative than they are functional. They're basically locked into place. The fellow has done a great job of restoring the house. I happened to bump into him as I was driving by today. And so when you ask about transparency and you ask about pickets, I would suggest that you look at that gate. That's more in keeping. Well, one, in the entire half a mile from North Sea to Henry Street, there are no gates, just the two that I mentioned. So we're not denying you the gates simply because they're so few, but we're asking that you create a gate that is in keeping with what's a very low-tone street that doesn't have any gates, and that this one, as the board members are saying in one form or another, is massive. and as such is disharmonious. So I don't think we should be parsing whether it's 50%, 60% transparency, or 40% transparency. Take a look at 28 West Prospect. That may give you an inkling of what's more harmonious to a street that doesn't have any gates, and to a street that has the scale of houses that are on West Prospect Street. This gate, given its opacity, its density, is more fitting of a house in an area where there are much larger houses, much larger lots, spread out far more from one another. So that's my suggestion, folks.
Okay.
Okay, I agree.
Okay, we'll go back to the drawing board.
Okay,
Thank you so much. So I move that we adjourn the application for 128 West Prospect Street for the 28th of December. I think that's.
Second?
Yep.
Second?
And by the way, I just realized I had the address wrong. It was 58. So when you're driving out, it's 58 West Prospect Street.
Okay.
Thank you.
So.
Let's hear those votes.
Aye.
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 Great.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now we're back to toilsome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Sorry
you.
it was a wait.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joanne. Mr. Roby has arrived.
Great.
Well, Mr. Roby.
So, Mr. Roby at 60 Toilsome Lane, driveway gates.
We were here a couple weeks ago. It's
Yes.
good to see you all again.
Thank
We
you.
learned a lot about gates we didn't know at that meeting, but we're on the learning curve pretty good here, I think.
Good.
So you've got a new drawing from us,
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
and we have a new sales pitch for you, as you would expect. But what we've tried to do is to modify the gate you originally saw to respond to your comments as best we could. We still want to end up with a gate, mind you. So we've responded by taking out the bottom panel. We had a solid panel on the bottom of our gate which matched our garage. We thought that was neat. You all didn't think it was quite so neat. So we've kind of eliminated that, and we've also, which gives us a lot more transparency. As I recall, that was a favorite word of this group. You all must have had a
One of
really,
our favorites.
You know us.
you had a really good second grade, apparently. So what we have now, I think, is a gate which is quite transparent. I actually don't like the way the draftsman drafted this, because the dark areas there are open
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah, it
counterintuitive.
reads-
right.
I-
And it makes
we
it look
underst-
like it's
We understand.
all dark, but it's not.
Yeah.
We've also reduced the size of the side post by 14 inches
Yep.
No, that's
in
good.
response to some of your comments.
Thank you for listening.
The gate still has a height, that top bar that goes across there is 6 feet from the ground. The gate itself is 5 feet, 7 inches. So we thought, best we could, we were kind of getting within range at least of what would be acceptable. It's a very standard-looking Southampton gate. I wouldn't think the design is controversial. So we hope we responded nicely to all your comments. I have, I took somebody's suggestion, maybe with the lateness of the day, we don't need to do that. But I did take some pictures of other gates in our area.
I don't think we need, I
No, I think
I
we're.
think it's fine. It's
If you approve this gate, you don't have to sit and listen to me tell you about all the other gates in the area.
Approved.
We're done.
So, if I may, Joe and partner, just one question which I've asked the other folks. What type of activation mechanism? Will there be any lighting on these gates?
Lighting is not, we're not anticipating putting a light on the gates.
Good.
I think we'll end up with a panel on the
Because
post.
that would have to be approved as well.
A panel on the
So,
post.
so it's a gate without lights,
That's
that
a-
should be specified. And what sort of mechanism, activation mechanism?
I don't know what you call it, but I thought it's to put a keypad or a panel, whatever it is, on the post. Ours is
Right.
kind of an
Oh, on the
awkward,
post itself or on a gooseneck?
Post.
on the post.
Extraneous to the post?
Post.
Post.
Post itself.
Okay.
We're set.
So it will be integrated, I just want to make sure that, so the keypad will be integrated into one of the posts on either the left or the right side, but it will not be a external gooseneck.
No.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
See, it can be done.
Yep.
All right.
So that said, I move that we approve the gate at 60 Toilsome Lane.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you ever so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
You guys are working hard. I hope you're getting
It's a
time and a
nice
half.
design. Overtime,
Thanks, Jim.
yeah.
Halftime.
Thank you.
And last but not least,
And that's it, right? We've got
More.
I like that guy.
one more.
one more.
63
I
Duck
like his
Pond?
hat.
So the next one is Duck Pond LLC, 63 Duck Pond Lane, driveway gates.
Oh, this one with the scary sentence.
Do we have 63 Duck Pond Lane?
This is the one with the scary sentence.
Hi.
We're the last one tonight, huh?
Yeah,
You are.
63 Duck Pond.
Special prize.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, perseverance.
All right, I put together a little rendering on the fence here for 63 Duck Pond. I'm Tom Morowski. I'm the architect for Duck Pond.
Thank you.
Here's a
So, we read the guidelines for what the gates are required to have between transparency, height, lights, things along those lines. And we basically put together a pretty simplistic and pretty typical to what's on the block. I got a couple pictures of some of the neighboring gates. In particular, this one is somewhat similar. We meet the 50% again transparency, the height. We are matching the material, the trim material on the house with the AZEC. On this, the stones matching the stone skirt that was on the house itself, so there will be some contiguous elements to this as well as on the house. And then as far as the light fixtures, we want to use a somewhat of a lantern style with like an antique rug bronze. It's a small fixture, it's not that large, just to light up the entryway that's down there.
So this is an entirely new gate, it's not a replacement, right? That's,
I don't believe there was one there beforehand. There's been so much work going on.
not that it matters.
Yeah. We are actually setting it back a little bit further than the setback as well. We'll put 24 and a half feet from the street line there.
And how will the gate be operated?
It will be a gate operator on that.
It will be a,
There will be a gooseneck.
Gooseneck,
Some of the
okay.
neighborings, again, I had on the pictures, you can see the goosenecks. We do anticipate putting this into some landscaping and some elements there, so it's not so apparent. We're not going to make it a bright white or bright bronze gooseneck. It'll be along
I mean,
a black
maybe you could
and
disguise
blend
it
into the
as-
landscaping.
disguise it as a goose, I don't know.
My one question is, says,
Sure.
entry gate medallion to be selected by contractor?
Well, we put it on there. We anticipate doing a just little bronze inlay, antique bronze, black inlay to match the light fixture in the mailbox along with the some of the trim that's around the house.
Okay, so if I may chime in, yeah, I know. You don't know where I am. So,
All night, I've been waiting in the car.
the medallion, you showed a picture, Tom, of a gate that was similar, that had no medallion.
Correct.
And it looked, and just compare those two pictures.
You're talking this one?
Well, I can't see it right now. If Charlie puts it on the screen, I'll be able to see it.
This one here?
Not Charlie.
Okay, Kat, okay, thanks, Kat. So the one to the lower right, from the way I see it, has no medallion. It just has the verticals. To me, that's a more appealing look. It's less in your face.
The medallion's a bit much. Yeah.
So if you wanted to do something like that.
It's just something we were trying to make it as a little feature on it.
But not the medallion.
Okay.
If you, the lighting, the wattage should be specified. I can't recall what it is, but it's generally, I think, not more than 50 watts. I don't know what the number is, and I should know.
We have a specification we can send to you.
And then the other thing is, you know, I don't want to go lightly on the goosenecks. This is a property that's visible. We just had an applicant come in, and he said, sure, I can do that. So rather than cover it up, I'd like you to figure out a way to put to not have an external gooseneck.
I think on this property, we're going to have something from that, just from the nature of the size of the gate here, as well as we set it further back, and that gooseneck will be also within the setback, further into the setback.
All right, if you want to do that, then you're going to have to come back with a plan and landscaping.
Okay.
And again, I'm not sure it's going to meet our approval, but you said you can disguise it, so.
Right, and again,
You know,
the neighboring properties on both sides both had the goosenecks as well.
I'm sorry?
They had the goosenecks on that block, on Duck Pond Lane. I have examples of it
And
that exist.
that's unfortunate. So we don't like to continue bad practices. We like to.
But we also want to be practical when somebody's approaching the gate, that they don't have to exit their car to be able to.
I know that's, and I very much appreciate that, Tom.
Another couple that was just
But
here.
other folks have come in and they have been accommodating to that. So I understand all the reasons why one would want to have it. We're in the business, if you will, and our responsibility is to look at the aesthetics of it. And goosenecks are not particularly attractive. There's no, now you may come back with a plan that has it beautifully disguised. I would suggest you might think of a way, and there are ways, and other applicants have accommodated on that, to not have an external keypad.
Okay, I'll work with the manufacturer. One question I ask, again, I apologize, I'm naive to this, my first time in front of this board. Would some sort of pillar be acceptable versus a gooseneck? Or if we were looking to do it completely electronic from like an iPhone or?
That's
probably,
that would be
the best.
That's great. Invisible is great.
Okay. Well, we've got complete automation in the home, so I don't think it'll be an option or
Exactly.
a hardship to put it in something along those lines. So,
right.
okay, we can eliminate the gooseneck.
It's not a hardship, it's a done deal.
So we're down to no.
You're great, Tom.
We will eliminate the gooseneck.
Good,
No,
okay.
no
It's
gooseneck.
gotta be a
no
mobile
medallion.
app, seriously.
You know what, someone can call when they get there, I understand that.
So can we,
All right,
No gooseneck, no
No
medallion.
gooseneck.
No.
I don't even show it on my plans.
no medallion, no gooseneck, can we vote?
You agree?
I agree.
so let me ask you a question. If there's no medallion, how will the front look? Will there still be a big white circle?
No,
No.
we,
Will there be
no,
verticals?
that won't look good. I think I'll just keep it more in tune to the one that we're trying to match
Well
down
said.
the block.
Well said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So
If that can be put into a motion, then I think we're good.
I move that we accept number 63 Duck Pond Lane driveway gates pending the removal of the medallion and matching the photograph of the,
Yeah, would you like that for your record?
yeah.
Sans gooseneck.
Yeah, and just have him initial
I can submit
sign
these,
it in
that's
some
Great.
way.
And also pending no gooseneck, but.
We didn't show a gooseneck, so
Yeah, so-
it's not even on the plan.
So the application of a remote operating system.
Second.
Aye.
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 Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
so
Thank
much.
you so
Have a
much.
great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Jeff, have you invested in some mobile app that?
No, I haven't, but I'm glad that there are folks like Tom and the other applicant who can think creatively
John, you have to create
to
this
help
out.
beautify the area.
I'll investigate that.
We have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody
Thanks,
did a
guys.
great job.
Thank
Great
you.
night, okay?
Thank you.
Really
Stay safe, everybody.
fantastic.
Huh?
And it's only 11:30.